Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to our weekly update of the gubernatorial elections across these United States. And we've got six states. We've got 6 states that I've seen some enough that I just want to talk about a new poll, or they finally they finally had their runoff for something. And Florida is weird. We have a poll here that shows Gillum up, but generally Adam Putnam has an advantage. But then again, there's a ton of undecideds in all of these polls. I don't even see one with less than 20. So it's fair to put it as a toss-up, but since Putnam has the advantage in the majority of polls and against the majority of candidates, I think it's reasonable to have Putnam have an advantage here. I did see some stuff in Michigan that made me rethink that maybe I should upgrade it to likely for the Democrat. Minnesota, I'm still leaning to the Democrat just because I haven't seen enough to truly affect that. Georgia, the Republicans had their runoff, and Brian Kemp is their nominee, and he has a slight advantage. I'm ignoring this internal poll, and this Mason-Dixon poll had a crud load of undecideds, and it was from February when the Republicans were unsure who their nominee was going to be. So, as we've expected, now that both nominees are finalized, people are going to start actually making up their mind, and I expect Brian Kemp to maintain his advantage. And even though it's going to be narrow, it's going to be much harder for Stacey Abrams to overcome that for 2 reasons. Number 1, she's a Democrat in Georgia, and number 2, she's a progressive Democrat in Georgia. And I really don't think that is a good mix for winning at the state level. I think that is going to make... I'm not going to say it's going to be easy for Brian Kemp to win this race. I personally think it means that whereas a normal gubernatorial race in Georgia would look to have the Republicans up by 5 or 6, he might be up by 7-ish in the final vote, just because she's a progressive. And that's just because Georgia does not have a lot of swing voters. The Republicans start almost at 50%. That are like, they automatically get 45% unless something crazy happens, and the Democrats are at about 40 to 42% of the vote every single race, unless they have a terrible candidate running. We go to Maine, and this is the part that I wanted to mention about Maine, is that they will be using plurality voting, and there is an independent candidate who might actually have some pull, Terry Hayes, and there's no polling. We only have toss-up, or only some predictions, and they're rather old. There's Janet Mills and Sean Moody for the Democrats and Republicans respectively, and obviously we've got but the fact that Terry Hayes is actually getting endorsements from both Republicans and Democrats means that Janet Mills may lose some support, simply because The Independent seems to have more Democrats endorsing him or her. I actually didn't bother checking. But the Independent has more Democrats endorsing than Republicans, and that might take away votes from the Democrat, and Sean Moody might pull ahead. I'm going to keep this as a toss-up, and due to the environment, I'm still going to rank this as leans Democrat, but it's close. Now we get to go to Oregon, where in a legitimate poll that was conducted last week, no, not last week, a little bit in the middle of, or early part of last week, Gravis Marketing, with a reasonable sample size, and yeah, there's a lot of undecideds in this poll, but it shows Kate Brown and Newt Bueller as tied, which is better than the previous poll, most recent poll, which was an internal poll showing Newt Bueller ahead. And, of course, all the other ones showing Kate Brown far ahead. I'm actually going to downgrade this from likely Democrat to leans Democrat. I know it may be overreacting to one poll, but it's a reputable pollster, and Oregon's still a Democrat state, and I shouldn't expect it to do anything other than be very narrow, but I would expect it to be between 8 and 12% in favor of the Democrat, and when a reputable pollster is showing that it's tied, I feel it's reasonable to downgrade this for the Democrat. We're going to go over to Rhode Island now, where apparently there's an independent who is actually polling a significant amount in polls. Joe Trillo, I guess. Trillo? Anyone from Rhode Island, go ahead and tell me how to say his name. And you have Gino Raimondo and Alan Fung tied in, it's a social sphere poll, but the Independent grabbing 16%, 19%, 14%, 18%. Then again, look at all the undecideds. We can't be 100% sure what the actual polling results are going to be. But we can assume that it will be close, because two nonpartisan polls have actually shown it to be close. I'm still going to lean it to the Democrats, but that might change. That very, very much might change. And then we go up to Wisconsin, where a Marist College poll conducted last week that I didn't see last time shows Tony Evers ahead of Scott Walker by 13%. I'm thinking, due to the fact, if you look at every other poll that's been conducted of this race, and including polls of every other candidate, every other one shows Scott Walker ahead if it isn't an internal poll. I think this one's a bit of an outlier, so I'm not going to weigh that heavily. I'm still going to call it a toss-up, and I tend to lean toss-ups towards the incumbent candidate, if there is one. So, yeah, I'm going to still lean this towards Scott Walker, but I'm definitely going to keep my eye out to see if this is maintained across the board. Anyway, so this is what the composition of the governor's mansions would look like according to my prediction, which is in line with where I think most people are expecting it. And this is what the current composition is. Though I think there is definitely a chance for Republicans to maintain Maine, flip Connecticut, and even Rhode Island, and hold on to both Nevada and Oregon. I think there is definitely a non-zero chance of this being the map that we look at. But I don't think it's a high chance. So we're going to go ahead and flip those. So this is the map that I expect. I don't think that should be too much of a surprise or a shock. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.